Hello, Sketchers. This tutorial is on two-point perspective, and I'm going to do a little bit of explanation, and then I'll show you the assignment that I've given you previous in the day to work on at night. This is just a little introductory exercise that will help you understand two-point perspective. Okay, so let's get started. Here's a little diagram I made on top of this photograph. It's something that you might typically see downtown or whatever. It's a building that allows you to see two sides of the building at right angles to each other. So in this photograph, I've drawn a line, this line right in the middle right here, which is the horizon line or your eye level. And in this particular photograph, if you look at these benches down here, that's about where the your head would be if you were standing on the ground. In other words, if you were sitting right about or standing right about here, you might see a figure that looks about like this standing along the street. Okay, that's the eye level. And it's also the horizon line. If you were to take away all the trees and all the background, that would be where the sky meets the ground. So horizon line is the same as eye level. We'll get more into that in class on Saturday. So, but if you notice this, the top of the building has a line. If I extend that out to the horizon line and do the same on the bottom of the building, they meet right on the horizon line. And that's because in perspective, distances get smaller as they go back in the distance. Well, this portion of the building is further away than this point right here, the corner that's closest to us. So you can see this building is the same height, but in perspective, notice the height or the size of this wall here compared to here. It's the same size, but in perspective, distances get smaller. So therefore, this is shorter, or it appears to be smaller than this. Same thing on this side. This is right angles, and you can see that everything recedes back to this vanishing point. So we have two vanishing points. That's why it's called two-point perspective, two vanishing points. And I'm not going to draw the lines in there, but if I were to take a ruler, one of the rules of perspective is that all parallel lines go to the same vanishing point. The top of the windows right here is parallel to the top of the building. You can see where that goes to the vanishing point. And as I rotate down, these angles change and they all end up at this vanishing point. Same on this side. If I were to draw a line through this portion of the building, that would connect to the vanishing point right there. Okay, so that's the basics of two-point perspective. There's more to it, but this is just a very simple explanation of it. So if you look real close, this portion from here to here is below the eye level. And notice how the lines go up toward the vanishing point, okay? From here to here is the distance above the eye level, and everything above the eye level goes down, slopes downward toward the vanishing point. And of course, if a line coincides with the horizon line, it would just be a straight line across here. Okay, so that's the basics of perspective. There's going to be more that I show you tomorrow in class when we're outside, but this will help you with your assignment. Take your sketchbook, and I would do it in a landscape format. And again, no rulers, no pencils, no erasers. This is very critical to what I'm going to teach you. So the first thing that you want to do, let me get everything positioned here, is sketch a line right across the middle of your page. And if you want to, what will help you is if you put a dot here, that's going to be a vanishing point. And all the way across on the other side of the page, a vanishing point. And just make sure that you're about in the middle, and just keep your eye on that dot and you'll end up over there. And maybe a series of short straight lines. You can kind of see how I lifted my pen to reposition my arm. Okay, so there's your horizon line, sky, desert. Okay, it's also your eye level. So in this exercise, we're going to different objects at different positions in space. Step one, anywhere down below the horizon line, sketch in a vertical line. Don't make it too tiny. Make it big enough so you can see what you're doing. A vertical line that's parallel to the edge of the page. From the two endpoints of that line, kind of get your arm going up without drawing a line. Get your arm going up toward that vanishing point. See how I'm kind of gradually there. You know, you don't have to draw the whole line in. You need to get good at this where you can see where your pencil's headed or your pen is headed. Here's the next one. If you want to draw the whole thing and just keep it very, very light so only you can see it. See how light my lines are? Just kind of get my arm moving in that direction and then lay down your pen to get some kind of a mark. Okay. Randomly, just choose a depth. I'm going to choose a depth right about here. Now just like in the photograph here, those lines go to the same vanishing point. This line in space is parallel to this line, so it goes to that vanishing point. But be very careful. One way you can tell if your line is straight, if you turn it this way, so that the lines are kind of aiming toward you, you can tell if they're fairly accurate or not. In fact, if you want to sketch it that way, that's fine. Okay, so that's the first step. The next step is to, now this is the perpendicular surface, that's going to go up to this vanishing point. So I'm going to kind of get my arm going. You want to draw with your whole arm. And I'll probably draw a little darker than I would normally, but just so you can see it. And this goes up to that vanishing point. Okay. Now, arbitrarily select another depth. I'll pick right about here. And what we're going to end up is a cube. So from this point, I'm going to sketch a line that goes out to that vanishing point. One little trick, instead of looking at your pencil or your pen, just like a pitcher doesn't look at his arm when he's throwing, he's looking at the catcher's mitt. So pretend this is the catcher's mitt out here. Keep your eye on that spot and get your arm and hand going, get a line going. You'll get better at this as time goes by. Okay, so that all you can see, all three of these parallel lines go to that same vanishing point. In fact, let me mark that VP vanishing point. Okay, from this point right here, what we lack is this line going up to this vanishing point. All go to the same vanishing point, all go to the same vanishing point. These are all vertical lines. And then if you want to sketch it in a little bit darker, no rulers. Don't worry about being so precise as far as your line quality. The main thing is that you're going to the vanishing point. Okay. Okay, the next one, now choose a point above the horizon line. So in other words, let's imagine this is a building. This is about how it would look from a helicopter, right? You're above it, you can see the top of the building. So somewhere up here, another vertical line. And you're going to select your two endpoints. If you draw the whole line in, that's okay. Just make it real light, just a light touch. Okay, so these two lines go to the vanishing point because they're parallel, and this goes to this vanishing point. Be aware that your arm is a natural compass. So if you're not careful, you'll end up with an arc. You have to deliberately concentrate to make it a straight line. Keep it very light. These are thinking lines. I like to call them thinking lines. Okay. Now, arbitrarily pick a depth. Let's make this one like a long slab up in space. Okay. And from this point right here, you're going to come to the vanishing point. Make that a little darker. Okay. Now, we don't know where this ends. That's just up to you. I'll make this a narrow slab about like this. Well, right about here. These three lines are vertical, parallel. So I've got this point right here. That can't go to that vanishing point because it already does from that point. This needs to go to that vanishing point. And this is where you need to be as accurate as possible to keep the perspective looking right. Okay, now I can darken that in. I find that I can draw straighter lines when I draw toward myself. So now this object is above the eye level, which means I can see the bottom of it. Okay, then one more. Draw a vertical line that intersects the horizon line. Here's your horizon line. Should mark that before. Or eye level. So there's your top and your bottom of that front corner. That's just like this front corner here. Up to the vanishing point. To the two vanishing points. And then arbitrarily pick a depth right about here, parallel to the original line right there. This is done. Now, because the eye level is below the top of the building, I don't see the top of the building, and it's also above the bottom, so I don't see neither the top or the bottom. That's how you're going to see most buildings that you sketch. Are going to be more like this. Okay, so for your assignment, I want you to fill up this page. So here's the three scenarios: below the horizon, at the horizon, and above. Fill up this page and use a lot of overlap. So watch what I'm going to do here with this. Instead of just having little tiny boxes, I'm going to give this some real depth. I'll do one more and then I've got to quit because the video will get too long. So I'm just going to pick a line right about here. Let's see. There's my vertical line up to the vanishing point. And see how it's going to go behind. I don't see the back point of this. I'll just pick this up to the vanishing point. And I can arbitrarily decide where the back corner of that will be. That's one of the things with perspective is having overlap. That's what gives it depth. Okay, so fill up this page as much as you can. You can even put one back in here if you wanted to, and just as long as you follow the rules that I did at the very beginning, by that front corner, go to the two vanishing points and arbitrarily pick a depth. Okay, so that's kind of your homework assignment. I want to see at least 3 blocks on the bottom or below the horizon, 3 blocks right at the horizon, and 3 blocks above the horizon. So you'll have a total of 9 blocks. Okay, so that's it for this video, and we'll see you in the morning.